going to be a bumpy night.
What's going on, everybody? This is Laugh Bunker Podcast. My name is Josh. Paul, great to see you, man.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. It is what, the 22nd of February already. Huh? All right. Got a brand new episode, so this is gonna be a good one. We got a few films that we both recently seen to cover and talk about, and shot you a couple of texts over the weekend about what I was watching. Everything before we get to that, everything good? Everything good on your end?
Yeah, just it was a nice weekend. Just really been cranking the writing, thinking it took me a year to get this preface, and I know it sounds so stupid to say that,
okay,
but it's all about the tone, and all about what I want to reveal.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway, I truth is, I'm just on probably the best writing role since probably college, and just cranking out what I want to get done. It's all written. I'm just putting it in place.
Yeah.
And it's a little bizarre, but I want to, some of it is very funny.
Okay.
And that stuff I sent you, I was just sat down and wrote jokes one time because I just thought, whatever, Yeah. And it's interesting because when I watched that Comedy Store.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question before we ask about your life. When you watch a comedian, what is your favorite? Is it the guy who does the joke, or is it the guy who does the bit? Does that make sense what I'm saying with this? Example, Andrew Jeselnik. He's a joke deliverer.
Yeah.
Jimmy Carr, joke deliverer. Bam, bam, kill you.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor, considered the greatest comedian of all time, nostalgically, would you not say?
Yeah. Especially modern comedians right now, he's held in high regard.
Even back then.
Yeah.
So his was bits. It was like a guy who got high and just walked on the stage and was telling Robin Williams
stories and all that
guy too. Mm-hmm. Well, so for you, I know this is not a weird beginning, but
no.
I've been watching a lot. I did watch Richard Pryor and the Sunset Strip. It's something I'll talk about later.
Yeah.
What do you like? What's your favorite comedy? Who's your favorite comedian? I mean, really, we could just probably go bam.
Probably, I would say probably one of my favorites to watch all the time is Norm Macdonald. And he's like a
very dry.
Yeah. I like Norm Macdonald. I like Jeselnik too. I like guys that have like that edge to them where they have a joke and it could go a little bit too far, but they have it framed perfectly to where it just like it's a little controversial of a joke, or they may throw one of those in there and it just gets you and it makes you laugh. I like it when comedians kind of take it to the edge a little bit. But
okay, so
what would he be considered, like a joke?
Oh yeah, I would say he'd be the joke deliverer, because it's more of a Jerry. Okay, not that I love Jerry Seinfeld, but he's not one of my favorite comedians.
Yeah.
But he started a style.
Yeah.
But his was the kind of the comment, sarcasm off the side.
Yeah.
I did watch some Johnny because of the Comedy Store. So then on one of my channels, they sell these. This was like 4:30 in the morning. I came home. They sell like they sell people's albums, or they'll do all Lucille Ball and everything. And they were doing Johnny Carson. And, some of that, these guys must have been having the stinking time of their lives, probably drinking beforehand, hanging out, and just, it was like this. And he would line the couch with just comedians.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think he liked kind of the more edgy guys.
I
he liked people that, because I heard about this Friars Club that he used to run. Mm-hmm. Where all these guys went to that no one knows anything, but
Yeah.
And it's funny because I spent some time watching that Rowan Martin Laughing, which is sketch comedy. But Johnny Carson, even back then, he was already had his show, and he would show up and do skits. So, and even on his show, he did the whole.
He gives you that kind of vibe where he's got to be clean on his show, but behind the scenes, and he's and obviously with the Friars Club, and then the type of comedians that he would bring onto the couch and all that, he liked those kind of those edgy kind of guys, and he himself, I'm sure, was a little edgy outside of his show, you know.
Well, it's really interesting because I was thinking about when a lot of these guys were coming through. Think about the censorship that was involved. We talk about a cancel culture now, but in those days, it was probably an ironclad conservative viewpoint. And these guys took and when you really go back and listen to what these guys are saying now, you don't, when you're a kid, you're like, and you weren't even born. So it was a fetus. I mean, you've got no clue to English, let alone comedy. But now that I go back, I mean, Freddie Prinze, that first time he went on, he made a couple of jokes. He made a couple of jokes with, he was on this Diana Shore show. So this is like, there were talk shows back in the 70s, and Diana Shore had been a TV star or whatever. She had her own show, and then they did this stuff. And he talked about just so on the edge that you caught everything. Yeah. It kind of is like, what is the Aladdin with Robin Williams?
Yeah, Aladdin. Yeah.
Now, so when you go back now, you saw it as a kid, but now
we just
go back and you hear the jokes.
Yeah.
I think right now, whoever, there's going to be comedians that are going to play with the system that's going on with socially right now. And these are going to be some of the greatest comics of all time because they're having to be smarter and use alliteration in their jokes to say whatever they want. And I was just, I don't know, I just was thinking about this today for some reason. And I thought, this is a phenomenon. And you think about all the famous activists back in England and France and the way they wrote to keep people laughing, but an FU kind of thing to to what's going on. Anyway, right now, we're going to see who's got it and who doesn't.
Yeah, I think it's a little different now compared to then, because those comics like Carlin and all them, where they were breaking barriers and dropping F-bombs and, you know, doing stuff on the radio, and gave the comics and, you know, of today and of like 10, 20 years ago, like the chance to kind of express themselves and say whatever they wanted. Now I think you get a lot of comics, or just maybe before this whole cancel culture kind of like political correctness kind of started to take shape, you had a lot of comics that were probably even just trying to outdo one another. You know what I mean? Try to, who was going to go be more extreme.
You raised the bar higher.
Yeah. Who was going to, you know, say the most outlandish stuff. And then now, so I think society, instead of the government, it's kind of like we're self-censoring ourselves in a lot of ways. And it's like, now it's going to be interesting how the comedians now are going to navigate that, because it's like the people around you are trying to censor you. And it's like, and then everything's so politically heightened. A lot of comics, I think, especially when Trump was coming in, you know, thought, oh, he's going to you know, he's going to give them all this like material, and all these comedians are just going to eat it up, and this is great. But not really, because the guy it was so much in the news. He was so much in the news that when people went to the comedy clubs, even the comedians just didn't want to talk about him. And
truth is,
and he was,
I don't even want.
Yeah, and he was so one outlandish thing after another that it was almost too hard to keep up with him. So you know, I think a lot of
you had to do a lot of drugs, so the drug users were able to hang tight the whole time. And after 4 years of using drugs, they stormed the Capitol.
Yeah.
So I think really we have figured out. Yeah. I mean, why do we spend millions? Why don't they just call us? Why do they spend millions of dollars on tax? Hey, this is what happened. These guys took drugs for 4 years and they stormed, cut them off, and put them in jail. This is where we're done. Okay, we can move on. Or give us a supply of their drugs.
But that's from because I listen to a lot of comedians' podcasts, and I think we referred some of them. I give some of my recommendations, but a lot of them have talked about that, where they're like, I've heard it a lot, where you know, they started it. It was too much to keep up with, and there was too much material, and it was just kind of like once people came to the club, it was this last thing the comedians really wanted to do was talk about anything political. I think they're from what I've heard of a couple of comedians, big name ones, that they're just, and they're not really political comedians. You know, some of them like to lean and let you guys lean left or right and let you know it. These kind of guys don't really say that sort of stuff. So they kind of mentioned that, they can kind of breathe a sign of relief, and then they can go into some of these southern states. And what they found was that if they did make a joke about Trump or whatever, that they would get backlash from the audience, and people would get offended that they were making fun of Trump. And so it was this tiptoeing and being on eggshells on two different spectrums of, the politics. Is like, you got these extreme left that were, very sensitive, and then you have these super right that you don't talk about. They don't want you to talk about their guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, it was tough navigating that
that's
kind of.
That's why I'm not part of either of those groups. Yeah. By the way, it's that right there, and yet, you know what?
Yeah.
Because of who my wife and I are as people and being fair and kind. Yeah. I have friends that are on both.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
Me fact, too. Especially being from more a conservative, and yet, you know what? I got to tell you something. None of my friends, I don't know ever this last year that we all sat around and talk politics. Yeah. I got to tell you, I honestly, and not that it's not important or whatever. I'm just saying that, man, dude, I'm going to be 60 years old. I don't have, it hasn't helped me for the last 40 years. Exactly. The last 20 ain't going to help me at all.
Exactly.
I mean, God forbid I get 20, but I'm just saying. But the thing is, okay, not that we'll jump, but I watched Rowan and Martin, Dick Martin show, laughing. Now, this is in 1968. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you can, if you were not alive, and I was very young, so I don't know what was going on. But when you had assassinations and the riots, it was on a whole other level. Yeah. Because we'd come off, JFK, and then we had Vietnam. It was a powder keg. Yeah. And you watch this show, this sketch comedy show, and everybody showed up on this show. Johnny Carson showed up on this show. But they were able to just nail everybody. Yeah. And it got to be so huge of making fun of everybody that probably one of the most disliked presidents up to maybe Trump, Nixon, went on the show.
Yeah.
And made fun of himself. Yeah. And if you think about that concept, and you want to talk about brilliant writing?
Yeah.
Because you're an intelligent person, but the way that they were able to push it, and you think cancel culture's hard. Try the censors in the 60s. Mm-hmm. It was a whole other thing when it was run by corporations or people. Anyway, it was a brilliant. I think that the brains in comedy now is so just genius. And really, if you are a writer, these guys, one thing that Comedy Store said, they're not just standing in a mirror telling jokes. They're at home writing for hours. And even that Mitch Hedberg, who was one of my favorite joke telling.
Yeah, he's a joke teller for sure.
He said that when he had an idea, he had to figure out if it was worth getting up to write it down. He's like, he would lay in bed going, "Is this funny enough for me to get up and write it down?"
Yeah.
And then one of my favorite jokes is his. He said, "I used to do drugs. I still do, but I used to too." But now jumping back, I go back with more of the sketch. I love guys that create the characters.
Okay.
So it's more theater, obviously.
Yeah.
And I find that to be more, I love that. Because I love the comedy of the sarcasm comeback. That's I love the opportunity to be fed stuff and give that, because so I love that. And I did watch Whoopi Goldberg's One Woman Play. And, not all of it. I only could get segments of it on the YouTube. But she is when Mitzi wanted it, she's the first one to do the play.
Yeah.
The one-person show at that. And when you see some of it, and even Spielberg was showing up for it, that gig on doing the one-woman show is why she was in Color Purple. It's why we've heard of her. She's phenomenal. But I like that kind of comedy better. And Richard Pryor and Robin Williams would fit into that category.
Yeah, they would. They would. Who else?
Even Jim Gaffigan will always answer himself.
He will. Yeah. He
And I
develops like
like
these
that. So that's
characters.
my. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's the inner conversation, right?
Yeah. I like.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of the favorites that I've seen live, or even in person, or even watched their specials. Some of my favorite specials are probably Norm Macdonald specials. Even his last one was great. Patrice O'Neill. Did you ever watch his Elephant in the Room?
No.
I'll send it to you. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube. It's really good. It's still, you can still watch it. It's been a couple of years since, and he passed away a couple of years ago. And I think Comedy Central is doing it, has already released a documentary about him. So he was great. I think he didn't really break the mainstream. It was just about to break the mainstream, and then he ended up passing away. He's a big guy, big giant dude. And who's another one that was kind of more of a storyteller? I'll say like a Dane Cook, like his early albums.
Yeah, because there was always reference. A lot of people didn't call him a comedian because of that.
Yeah.
Because of his and Hollywood tried to make that guy a star, didn't they, for a while?
They did.
Pushed that dude huge.
They did, but from what I hear from other comedians, that because he's got a lot more respect around his comedy peers nowadays, especially because the hype has kind of died down at this point. He was king of LA for the early 2000s, up to 2010 or so, like that. He would destroy these rooms, and every comedian, Bobby Lee and all these other guys, would talk about when Dane took over the room. It was hard to follow. You did not want to follow Dane because at that point in his career, from the early 2000s, he was just, and it made sense that he blew up mainstream, but he's not a mainstream face. He's not a mainstream kind of person. So
you know what? The one movie I did like him in is where he blackmails Kevin Costner, the serial killer, and I think of the name of the movie offhand, and he follows him around. He's totally out of his realm. You don't see Dane Cook. I really like. It's one of my kind of. I think Demi Moore is the cop.
Okay.
Who's trying to bust him. I really thought it was a great film.
I liked him, especially his first few albums. I thought he was great. Great stories in there. Really charismatic. His few specials, first like 2 or 3, were really good. And especially during that time, like the early, like right out of high school age, it just hit that kind of demographic. Like that was, everybody was talking about him, and he was big, man. His specials and everything made this. They circled around my group of friends and people I knew. Everybody kind of had an album or had seen him before. So I think he's just about getting his respect around the comedy scene. So,
how old is he now?
Maybe
getting old, huh?
Late 30s. Yeah, late 30s, probably 40s. I don't know. He had a crazy story too. His brother was his manager and his financial manager, and stole like millions from him. And his brother's in jail now, and he had to testify against his brother and all that stuff. Yeah, so it's pretty sad story.
Yeah, that's kind of. I didn't hear that story, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That is kind of a.
He's been talking about it. Probably in the last few years, he kind of let more details about that, and I think he had. I think both of his parents died within the same year. I think of cancer, both of them. Yeah, so it was like he had a pretty tough, 2000s, that kind of point in his life. Yeah, it was really tough for that guy, and then the downfall of his kind of hype. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how Hollywood is always trying to push.
Yeah,
and so me being older, I've seen the people. Michael Keaton, he was the dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for a while, he was the man and everything.
Yeah.
And some of his movies were great too. Did you ever see Clean and Sober with him?
No, I don't think so.
With Morgan Freeman, he's in a 30-day drug program.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. Morgan Freeman. I mean, that's really the role where he was from the Electric Company, a kid show, so I didn't really see much of his stuff. But that's the role you just realize what a commanding figure he was. Yeah. Anyway, back to life. Everything good with you?
Everything's good. Kind of been taking it easy.
Started school again?
Yeah, started school again. Think the new content for the week, the modules for the week get posted up every Sunday, so I haven't really even taken a look at it. But yeah, it's going pretty good. It's the last semester. I'm finishing it up. And then just been watching some movies, just kind of checking out some houses. I'm just Same old. Nothing much. Yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Long, just working and working out, more lifting, going to lift more this spring,
Yeah.
and then go more to the trails once the summer hits. And other than that, I've been getting some medical tests, because I went for a physical, so everything's looking pretty good so far. And other than that, just you're right. It's just the same as last week.
Nothing new at work. Nothing crazy.
No. Well, truth is, I'm just really learning how to write within my concept, and so therefore, I'm getting a lot done. And I just bullshit with people. That's all I do.
Yeah.
I stand at the front and I just make jokes with people and have a good time. And I scope it out and see who. Everything's in the picture like a film, and you can pretty much make a good choice. So, but it's just weird. It's just, I don't know what the concept is going to be.
Yeah.
They're not like gaining anything. So I don't know. And I think because our hotel, is a big time business convention. So who's to say, but yeah, definitely at the end of, June or so, then I'm taking a month off guaranteed.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll go out to Colorado, but I'm definitely going to spend a few weeks going up. Remember Osiris?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Killer guy. Anyway, he's been just traveling and going to, I don't know if you've seen.
Yeah, I think he went to, did he go to Yosemite recently?
Just recently, yeah. And I was texting him and I said, were there people? And he said, yeah, there's a lot of people. I said, you know what it is? They call the fire fall. And so they go ahead and, now the concept in today's world, man, okay, so listen, this is what we should do, man. Let's get a bunch of gas. And let's light that shit on fire and let's just throw it in the woods. What the hell? What could happen?
Yeah.
So, after all of California burned, I'm sure this is safe. They've been doing it since 1800s, probably with the invention of moonshine. But
so what do they do though? How do they?
They do that. They pour fluids. I don't know if it's gas because that would be totally horrible, but it's a burnable fluid that they light on fire and send over the falls. He sent me a picture. It was spectacular.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I never looked into it and see how it's done, but I don't know. I just assumed that it was like a reflect, like the light hits that angle from the sun.
It's bizarre. It started in like 1870s or something like that.
Okay, so they
but back then, let's burn it. Big deal.
Yeah.
Who cares? We got more.
Yeah.
We got tons more. I'm not going to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
But he did say though, lots of snow. I was asking him about change or whatever, but he did say that there was. He said there was a lot of people in the valley.
Oh, really?
Which makes me, I want to go back. My wife is going, hey, let's go in March. Let's go on spring break. But I'm like, we went and there was nobody there.
Yeah,
and I don't know. And truth is, I don't hike on weekends here. I don't want to see people. And if I have to go on the weekends, I go in the dark at 5 a.m, just because I enjoy the peace. And I haven't been up hiking, but I will start again shortly.
Yeah.
Been getting caught up. Bought a car.
Yeah. Oh, you did? What did you end up with? What'd you get?
Oh no, not my car. I bought a car for my wife. She got a Volkswagen Tiguan, like a cross sport. She likes Volkswagen.
Yeah.
And it's very nice. It'll probably last with her, whatever. She's like it. I think though I will, and truth is it worked out financially well. It was a good deal.
Okay. Where'd you go?
Just the dealer. Volkswagen.
Volkswagen by your house?
But the guy my wife follows this guy.
Oh,
okay. So he was in Alhambra. So she went twice with him and then over here twice. And he makes, really, he does it very well. And it's all about because of loyalty.
Yeah.
It's worth for them to cut and keep.
Yeah. The person that sold my car was this super nice. She was straight up. She wasn't trying to play any games. She didn't put out any fees last minute. It was just like we called her up, we gave the price and what we wanted and what we were looking for. She got it. And then I was like, and then we went in and just did the paperwork. And there was because some these car dealerships and these salesmen, they'll get you in and then they just surprise you with all these fees and all these other.
They wear you down, man.
Yeah.
We must have been there for 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And they sucker
Like-
some people, man. Like some of these big dealerships. You know, I'm sure these young like 20 somethings that go in for their first car, or like these, you know, the late teens, and they go with their parents, and then, or maybe I don't know. Just their tactics. It's just, you see them coming from a mile away sometimes. It's crazy.
So that's good. That's done. That was busy. Other than
That's
that,
good.
so just life. And then I have been watching some stuff too. Some things we both watched.
Yeah.
And one thing I did watch, it's this TV show, or what, serialized, and it was I Am Dying Up Here on Amazon, and it's kind of like the Comedy Store, and this
Yes,
that
yeah.
actress Miss Melissa Leo kind of portrays Mitzi Shore,
Yeah.
kind of like. But the truth is, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know if I just because I watched the documentary.
Was that the
But
one that Jim Carrey produced? Was that his?
Yes.
Yeah.
His name's on it.
I think they canceled it after what, like a season or two?
Yeah, I couldn't. You know, truth is, this has been a hard week of I took some risks
Yeah.
outside my box, and there was a
Yeah.
lot of failure.
Okay. Go
It's
through
just
the
my
list.
personal
Okay.
thing, but my wife's got me hooked into this Ray Donovan show.
Yeah. I think we talk about that last week?
And I really like it. So I reached a lady who's the showrunner, Ann Bitterman. It's kind of interesting. She did Southland,
Okay.
that movie, but she comes from a script background, and she wrote the script Primal Fear with Richard Gere, Edward Norton, which is a phenomenal thriller.
That was his breakout role. Was it Edward
that's
Norton's?
when everyone went, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, because he scared us from sitting in that room with Richard Gere. And she also wrote Public Enemies, which was the John Dillinger gangster movie with Christian
Michael
Bale,
Mann and all
Johnny
that.
Depp, Michael Mann.
Mhm.
So anyway, I mean,
Good. It's cool.
Now, one thing my wife did say something which is interesting, and have you watched Ray Donovan?
I have not. No.
Okay.
No.
But you're very familiar with Breaking Bad, obviously.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Breaking Bad. I mean, I'm familiar with the premise of the show. It's like a cleanup.
It's worth the first season to watch. But this is what my wife said that was very interesting. She said on Ray Donovan and shows like that, they got to have a new bad guy every season. Who are we bringing down type of bad guy? Because the development of the family, even though when you think about Ray Donovan, when you watch it, the conflict that's going on there. But then if you look at Breaking Bad, okay, Mad Men would be another one. Sopranos, okay, look at the top 5. But on Mad Men, you had everything. Walter's story was it. Yeah. And Jesse's and his wife's and the brother-in-laws and all this other crazy stuff just was how it interacted. And so every season we have the same character. We have a character arc within each season, each episode, and then through the whole thing. Like
new villains or new enemies weren't really necessary. They had challenges
they were challenges, but yet the conflict within the family was greater than even bigger than Gus or the cartel. Yeah. So it was interesting with Ray Donovan. It's like I'm starting over, and I know that sounds weird.
No. You know what other show was like that? Opinion. Did you ever watch Dexter?
Yes.
Well, Dexter is very much the same.
My wife's favorite show. Truth is,
I love Dexter. I think I watched Dexter up until maybe the 5th season. I remember I was at Comic-Con, I remember, and I was right in the front row, and they had the panel there, and everybody was there, and they were talking about switching up the writers for the next season. I was like, oof, that's not good. You guys are doing pretty good so far. Like, why are you going to switch anything up? You guys are doing pretty good. They had John Lithgow on the 4th season where he played probably one of the better villains, which I was like. So I didn't finish all the 5th, and from what I heard, the rest of it was like whatever. But seasons 1 through 4 especially were very strong. And what I liked about Dexter was that they not only did he had the internal family conflict and his background, but then he had the fear of getting caught and committing the crimes. But then they also had he had like a new, killer enemy that he was going up against kind of every season. They had like a new.
Well, the dude who packaged the meat. I mean, that was just incredible. And with the sister involved.
Yeah.
And I
Add a level
love
of danger to the
that.
whole thing. Yeah.
But each one of the characters in though, because the
He
forensic
had an
guys
enemy.
was the Asian guy and the Hispanic guy, and they were making jokes. I mean, there was some really. I think it was a good show, and truth is, it didn't bother me even at at the end or whatever.
Yeah.
But because his character was never changed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I wouldn't put that show then on the level of what I think Breaking Bad's probably in the top 2 or 3.
Oh yeah. Well,
series.
I was probably talking about in the sense of like Ray Donovan, where he has to have like this villain to go up against every season. Like, there was a new villain, like one of them was this landscaper. Remember, he was cutting the trees, and that's who was killing people because he also was investigating crime. So I was like, I kind of like that. The best villain that he had to go up against was probably John Lithgow. That was still my favorite. I thought he played such a great menacing.
I loved
serial
John
killer.
Lithgow's so understatement, stated in his humor, or just I find him even when he's serious, he makes me laugh. Yeah. I don't know why, because he seems to always think it's a joke inside his head or something. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, it's good. So anyway, and then so I did have to wrap up with some Queen's Gambit and Valley Uprising just to make sense of some of things I watched.
Yeah.
So I watched I'm Dying Up Here, and then I watched this movie, I Am Woman.
Okay.
Amazon Studios.
I know what you're
Rachel Brosnahan, The Marvelous Miss Maisel,
House of Cards.
Mm-hmm. Emmy nominated for both roles. I love this girl.
I was looking at this girl, and especially in the poster for this show, doesn't she look like a Rachel Evan Wood type of?
She's got
to be taking her roles right now.
Well,
I'm thinking like if they're in the casting room, you got this new up and coming girl that's really talented.
It was written by this girl, Julia Hart, written and directed. She hardly has any credits.
Yeah.
And it just was like we turned it off. My wife and we turned it off because listen, there's so much. I'm a busy person, and there's too much great stuff. I can't waste my time. I can't give in anymore and you know what's interesting? Every one of these movies now has the same music style, same cinematography, boom, boom, boom. It's like I'm not watching anything creative anymore.
Yeah.
Her performance is fine. She doesn't have to say anything. I love this girl.
Yeah.
She's just in the room. She's incredible. She's from Wisconsin too, so she's from the middle. I think she's just a phenomenal. But the movie. So then, from there, and we'll talk about this is our movie talk of the day. Yeah, I Care a Lot. Okay,
I don't care.
Directed by Jake Blakeson, and we're going to probably talk about some things you don't want to talk about if you're going to watch it.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's going to take away from.
We could just
wait. Let me put it this way. I understand what you think about this.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So I understand that. So what you have to understand is it was such a step up from the other one. Do you understand? So we literally switched from I Am Woman to I Care a Lot.
Okay. And so the quality went up. The
quality went up because I think Rosamund Pike, she's just cold as ice.
She is, man. She does it really well, too.
She's always been an intellectual, from Gone Girl or, other different movies she's done.
Even the movie Fracture, she played like an attorney. I think it was Anthony Hopkins, Rosamund Pike, and what's his name? From Blade Runner 2024. What's his name? The blonde guy. What's his name?
Ed.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, there you go.
Love that guy.
They were both younger in that movie, but she's the same way. She's very cold, very cerebral. I think is maybe with this movie kind of breaking more into that. I thought she would with Gone Girl break into more of the mainstream. You'll see a lot more of her, but we kind of didn't. Maybe this role, we'll see a lot more of her after this, but she did great.
So there's, even the I Am Woman, they're talking about Oscar nominations for performance.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying that this is, she got the Golden Globe nomination for this.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk some of the elements. Now I know where you felt about it, and
Let's do a disclaimer. We'll do a disclaimer for anybody that doesn't want it, that's planning to see it, that doesn't want any spoilers, because we might get into spoilers. I don't know. We might.
And if you're planning to see it, have a good time.
Yeah.
Drink heavily.
Yeah, drink heavily.
Here's my thoughts on it.
Okay.
I love Peter Dinklage in the movie. I loved him since Station Agent.
Yeah.
Which, if you seen that movie, I'm just going to jump. Okay. No. It's with Patricia Clarkson, Bobby Cannell, and Michelle Williams. It's his breakout role. It's what independent film should be. Yeah. It's a wonderful slice. I thought he was good, but yet it's what I suspected. But the truth is, the person there with a couple of just changes, you could turn this out to be kind of good. Now, with the final scene, okay, which was, I heard this big uproar about, people were so unhappy with the end. I mean, this is what's on the news, so I did not know the ending. Got what felt that was appropriate, but what would have been great is to have seen around the corner Diane Wiest in the car.
Yeah.
Like she sent the guy. Do you know what I mean? Imagine how that final shot of her putting up her glasses and heard her son driving, or maybe she takes out the son and her. Now think about, and then
she ended up being the main person, the main boss. Yeah.
Yeah. How about she's the one having the doctor hit, all these things. Now tell me my wife and I talked about this afterward. Tell me if that doesn't take it to a different movie.
That would have been way better. Yeah. I thought she was kind of wasted in that movie. She's incredible. She's great. She's in this other movie with Meryl Streep that came out on HBO that I recommend. She's in it. She does a really good job in that movie.
Well, send me the link of that.
I'll send you the link. Just came out.
We go back to the, Edward Scissorhands. The Lost Boys. And then her playing the Parenthood. Since you're a parent now, Ron Howard's Parenthood is so right on with life.
Yeah.
And I just have to say this one scene. So her daughter is sleeping with Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
And so they took pictures of them having sex. But they took them to the same photo mart. So the mom gets the pictures first, and she's sitting in the living room, going through the pictures, and Martha Plimpton walks in and says, she goes, I think this one's my favorite. Is that Todd, or is that just his ass? Anyway, she's great at the comedy, and I liked the part of the movie when the end was like manufactured, but there's some moments where Rosamund Pike actually she starts calculating that she could die. And I love, there's a couple moments there when she realizes, and it's Diane Wiest who scares the hell out of her in those scenes.
Yeah.
So maybe more of them, like her being helped out at the end. That lady don't need helped out.
No.
So if I was to rewrite it, I would make Diane Wiest the antagonist.
Yeah.
Not the son. I'd make the son weak because he's eating pastries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. They try to make it comedic and but
so it's right, because in one of the reviews I read, one of the more respected reviewers said they didn't know what tone to use.
They didn't. It's a dark comedy, but they didn't. It just, I don't know. It wasn't. I don't think any of, other than maybe Rosamund Pike, or even then, the characters weren't really, I don't know, done to the fullest extent really well. They could.
I thought her girlfriend was pretty stinking incredible.
Yeah. I don't know if she was super.
She had a real presence.
I don't know if she was necessary though in the film though.
That's what my wife said also. Or, was that just a moment for socially to make this moment? Because it seemed like this lady wouldn't have anybody in her life almost. Like, it's like, it's all about her. It's about moving forward.
That and when the girlfriend, what's her name? Elisa Gonzalez, I think, is the actress. when she figures it all out and she has the whole background of the lady and she figures that she's going by a different name and this and this, so they sped up the story that way. I'm like, how do you get that information? Like, you didn't even, I don't know. It just seems like she got all that information way too quick, way too fast, way too
Let me
easy,
tell you what. Well, if
and
you
didn't let us
got,
figure it out. I don't know.
yeah, but okay. In today's world, you got millions of dollars, you can find out, you get anything
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
what
that's
people
true.
have.
Yeah,
You can
yeah, that's
get
true.
computer files. So it is a different time.
It
And you're
is.
talking about a lady on a huge level here,
Yeah.
connected to the courts. Oh, we need to be looking at these people's information to make sure that they're, are they mentally capable, whatever.
Yeah.
So are they incompetent, mentally incompetent? So you probably get the ability to hack into people's stuff. And
Yeah.
once you start going, I climbed with the guy many years, and he does work for the NSA.
Yeah.
And he told me I can take down. I was at the West. I was talking with him, and I was at the Westin, and I was just saying, hey, we're having computer rooms. He said, I can take down your whole hotel from my phone. Well, I said, yeah, but you have all the. I mean, that's a stupid thing to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
because you can do all that. But yeah, everything is online, and it's really interesting because it goes back to the cancel culture thing, because everything's online.
Yeah.
And they can find out. I think but the problem with human beings, you say bad things, and there's nobody who hasn't.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If we want, like, I'm always into accountability, but let's really be accountable. I'm on board 100%, but human beings just are stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're, well, the problem with the cancel culture and kind of the oversensitivity of a lot of things is that it doesn't give people a chance to redeem themselves or to make the wrongs right, or you're kind of just, the whole motive is to have you gone,
Okay, now, and I'm not, okay, so we're not just talking about someone who makes jokes or says something. We're talking, there's areas of this culture that are right on. I mean, you're right. For many years, we didn't call out people who harassed women, who didn't do these things, especially in Hollywood and different things. And this is the positive of it.
Yeah.
I'm saying more on a verbal thing, because let me tell you what, I've heard the craziest things in my life from some people who you wouldn't, think would be saying some things. And they weren't because they were racist things. They were just things that were more spiritual based, but they were like, whoa, so in that world. But anyway, that being said,
with this movie though, so what are any other points that you wanted to make on this film? Any other
well, the truth is that I was talking to a guy, my neighbor, and he's an actor, graduate USC, worked with Ryan Coogler, nice guy, Indian guy. And he was just talking about how, right now, what we're finding with Amazon and Netflix, because they have a captured audience, I'm sure that they're making money. They're not even worrying about the quality. What they're doing is they're throwing the paint or whatever at the wall and see what sticks and what doesn't.
I think so too.
And so I would have to say that recently, this year is probably the first year that I've actually turned away from a lot of stuff on Netflix and Amazon, because I find the writing, and I find it's just, there's only so much talent.
Yeah.
And people are some of these people have been bought over by Netflix, and they were successful in certain genres, but they're getting this money and they're just cranking out this stuff. But then you got to say, oh, well, then look at the Queen's Gambit. But if I watched that, really, if someone hadn't told me, I wouldn't have seen it. And that turned out to be just phenomenal last year. So just great. And
I think right now there's a lot of content being produced. Well, maybe not so much because of the pandemic and all that kind of stalled a lot of things, and a lot of talent out there.
Or so maybe we're getting stuff we would not normally see.
Yeah, you're getting exposed to things that you would have kind of just flipped the channel over and and ignored. And a lot of people have they have agendas that they want to promote, and they have certain things that they want to push and people that want to push. And I think a lot of these companies like Netflix they're putting it out there, seeing what sticks, let the market decide, and then we'll see what happens and all that. But I think what it comes down to is, views and dollars, and I don't know. I think, yeah, we're gonna get fewer quality Queen's Gambit style stuff. But there's always the not so quality, more quantity over quality type stuff that's gonna always come up and might stick around for a little bit longer than expected. But
well, I mean, it's like we go back to the beginning of our conversations with comics.
Yeah,
people will eventually realize that it's all about the heart, and I think there's a lot of people trying to push certain agendas through film, whatever.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, your film, your comedy, whatever, is only gonna touch people if it hits them in the heart.
Yeah.
And that's why we always go back to the same old stuff. And we keep, you watched Social Network last week. I put the Queen's Gambit on for 30 minutes after I Care a Lot, just to bring it back to normal. Yeah. But I did watch a couple things this week that were awesome.
Okay.
Richard Pryor and the Sunset Strip.
Okay.
Comic movie, the Oscar movie. You know what's interesting? It's directed by a Tony Award choreographer from New York. That's who directed that. And the guy who shot it is Haskell Wexler. Now, he has 5 Oscar nominations and he's won 2.
Okay.
So think about that. I mean, so you think about, here's the biggest star. This guy's the #1 cinematographer in Hollywood. And the guy who's won Tonys is choreographing all the movements.
Yeah.
It's also written by Paul Mooney, one of the genius writers, underground writers. And that goes to the bit. I love Richard Pryor, and I don't even like his jokes as much as I love when he starts talking, just acting out. I think he goes in this world, and I find it just, and I hadn't seen it since the 80s. So it's been a long, long time. Now, obviously, we're not going to release this today in any venue.
Yeah.
But he really just gives an insight, and you're hanging on the stoop with him.
Yeah.
It's like I'm having a beer and he's telling me these jokes, and it's very like I'm personal. And in that amphitheater, which, have you been in the Palladium? The Hollywood Palladium?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Have you seen, what did you see there?
I don't even remember what I saw there.
Music or comedy?
Most likely it'd be music.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it big going there?
It's a decent size. It's all right. I think
it's under 10 grand.
311. Who did I see there? I don't know the band. I don't.
Does it have about 10 grand or under?
Probably about 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so this is where it was shot, but even the cut. So, you know how every time you see these comedy specials, they trying to come up with some original of how to get to the. Yeah. So imagine the Oscar-winning guy on 35 mil shooting. It's just, and the comedy. And if you haven't seen it, and you being one, it's worth going back, because you're going to see a lot of the people today in him.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as I was talking about earlier, I'm on this back, watching comedy a little bit. That Rowan Martin's Laughing.
Uh-huh.
Just, I mean, the people that came through there, Jack Benny, Johnny Carson, Phil Urdant, Sammy Davis Jr., the president, Flip Wilson, John Wayne.
Yeah.
And the way that they were able to, they took it to the edge. And it's funny, if you're not smart, you're not getting the jokes.
Yeah.
And if you write smart jokes, it'll go in the audience, because the dumb people won't get it and they won't hurt you. So anyway, I really enjoyed it. Those two, cool. I love sketch comedy.
Uh-huh.
It was before Saturday Night Live, so where it started all coming from.
Yeah.
And so give me a couple picks for you this week. What do we got?
As far as series, I haven't been watching a lot of series this week. Films, talk about one movie that won't be made, not even close to being made today, that Tropic Thunder. I was watching that the other night. that movie is so good, and I remember seeing it for the first time at a little screening over at Comic-Con one year, before the year before it came out, or 6 months or so before it came out. But that movie.
Who's your favorite character in the movie?
Okay,
that's hard to say.
Robert.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite? Okay, yes, my favorite character.
Yeah,
but my favorite is the dancing of Tom Cruise with the bald head, and I mean him at the end. I just love. It's interesting because remember Tom Cruise showed up for and Spielberg showed up for Wayne. Not what's the movie where the guy missed Dr. Evil?
Is it Austin Powers? He's
at then. So
yeah.
I love when people will make a little fun of themselves.
Yeah.
So anyway, that being said,
that
I like that. And really, Ben Stiller was pretty good in it, to be honest with you. I thought.
Yeah, he's pretty good, and Ben Stiller. I don't know if he gets he gets his credit. He does get his credit. I don't know if I think as time goes on, maybe he will get more as a writer and as someone that develops a project or whatever. I think he's. Yeah, you got to put him up there with some of the top, because Meet the Parents and all these other movies that he came up with.
Yeah, well, look who his parents were.
Yeah, for sure.
Imagine growing up and saying,
Yeah, Zoolander and all these other characters that he came up with, and these sequels, they're amazing. So Tropic Thunder is just a full.
I like Zoolander, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, especially the first one.
Do.
Yeah.
Well, because you have all the different characters coming in and out that are funny.
Yeah, so, celebrity cameos and all that stuff. I thought that was pretty good. But yeah, Tropic Thunder
shows you how popular he is amongst his peers.
Yeah,
I'm always amazed when you see people showing up for no reason. That people like him who work with him.
And he'll do like a Zoolander, and then he'll do a Meet the Parents, and then he'll do a Tropic Thunder, and that's so politically incorrect, especially nowadays. And then he'll do a Night at the Museum, and it's all quality stuff. It's all.
I don't think we should use the word politically incorrect, because everything about politics is incorrect. We should say it's socially incorrect.
Socially incorrect.
It's humanly incorrect.
There you go.
Because there are no ethics in politics. So therefore, that would be like we could do what we want.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
socially. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
there you go.
I feel better about that comment.
But Tropic Thunder, the film that we just talked about, I Care a Lot.
Would you recommend it or no?
Which one?
I Care a Lot.
No, I don't think it would.
Interesting. I don't know if I recommended it, but there was enough. Interesting. So we were watching it. On our final maybe note here, let me ask you this question. My wife said it can be a good film if I don't like the ending. So I mean, obviously, okay. So in music and art, like we always talk about, it's personal, attachment. But I don't. The ending to me, the opening shot and the ending to me is everything. It took me a year to write this one preface thing because I couldn't, but now I can branch. What do you think?
I like the performances. I thought they're all great, especially Rosamund Pike. I thought the characters could have been fleshed out and taken different angles, which like you talked about. I think that would have been way better for a lot of these characters. I think the performance wise, and it being a dark comedy, it is great, but I figured out kind of where it was going to go in the first 15 minends. And I told my wife.
Well, and in some ways that was, and so at the end it was exactly what you thought.
Yeah, it took a little twist with her getting shot and all that, but I was like,
I like that. I like when we shoot the people myself.
Yeah, because
especially bad people,
because she deserved it. So yes, you finally this character is not likable, and my wife was talking about and she asked me a question do you think, I hope something happens to her? I'm like, chances are I don't think anything's going to happen to her. And I said that early on, and it was kind of leaning towards that way up until maybe the end. But even then, the end still, at that point,
you knew what. As soon as you saw the guy's hat, as soon as you saw the guy, you knew what the end was.
I knew what the end was, and I was like, nothing's really gonna happen to her. I don't think.
But like I said, one cut to the car with Diane Wiest,
that would have been great.
Sitting on the side of the road, it would have changed everything, because then it would make you think, go back into the story more in her control, because she ran her son.
Yeah. Now, for me, what turned me off was probably from the very beginning was was her whole speech. I'm woman, hear me roar type. I hate you, hate men. To the son. I was like, you're the bad person in this story. Like, and you're what you belittling this guy even more. And you just so that whole speech that she gave, I was like, I know where this movie's going, and it pretty much went that way. And
that was your agenda you were talking about.
That was my agenda I was talking about. I was like, I don't want to be kind of preached to in that way. She just seems like a strong enough character. Just let her play it out. I don't need a speech. You know what I mean? I don't need all these like examples of like, you know how many men threatened me, thousands, how many did anything to, blah, blah, blah. And, I'm not going to, all this other stuff.
Kind of like promising young women.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't need to, I don't mind. Make her a strong character. She should be, but I don't need to be, you don't need to just man hate right in the first 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't need to hear the speech. So that kind of turned me off a little bit. And then because I already know where they're going. I'm like, I see it coming from a mile away. And then Eliza Gonzalez's character. Now I brought this over to my wife's attention at one point. And I was like, what happens, and this has been going on for years, what happens with a strong female character that's of color, person of color, like Elisa Gonzalez, what they do in a show like The Good Wife and all these other shows, is that they will take that character. She's got more strong characteristics, more of a manlier characteristics. And I think a lot of the producers do this to check mark the boxes of minority, check, LGBTQ, check, and put them all in one character. And they do this constantly, and I see it all the time. So I told her, I'm like, watch, Lisa Gonzalez, I bet you she's gonna be a lesbian. Not that I have any problem with that, but what I have a problem with is that producers and filmmakers, it's like a lazy way of being inclusive.
Well, and there was,
and I see it a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of examples.
And it did it. You're right. And if it worked with Pike's character, that would be fine. But
fine.
It did not. She's all herself, because even at the end, it was all about her. Remember when she was on the TV shows and the different things?
And that's just my own pet peeve. I see it a lot in TV and movies, where there's maybe an ensemble cast and you have the one minority. Like, it usually happens more with women, minority women, and they're the strong. They have like this almost male characteristics, kind of like they're the strong character. You know what I mean? Like they have the attitude. They'll throw the all those characteristics into one character, just to what I think is to check mark the boxes of not having one minority character and one maybe character that's LGBTQ or whatever, but they'll just push them all into one character, and it happens a lot. And they'll I don't know. I saw that one coming from a mile away. I was like, okay, she's in a watch. They're going to be in a relationship. I know, and I already know it. And there you go.
Well, they didn't. Okay, that was
Which again, I don't have a problem with it.
No, they didn't invest in it.
No, they didn't invest in it.
No,
I don't care about their.
No, I agree, and it didn't match with her character as it was, because it's not. She would have no one.
Yeah,
I mean, she was about herself.
Yeah,
and the other character that didn't work was like the surfer dude who was the guy worked for the mob. Like, that's not. I mean, look at everybody else. They're not gonna. Exactly. That was like, oh, let's make a colorful character.
Yeah.
Well, if you're doing crimes and stuff, you're not going to wear loud clothes that people are going to identify you in the hospital of stealing. So there was a couple mistakes,
and there was nobody to root for. I don't think.
Well, the only person I was rooting for was Diane Weiss, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I really was, and then they kind of let her character kind of just fall to the wayside. It was like, you have such a great character right there that you could do something with, like exactly what you said. And then Peter Dinklage, you like him and you feel for him. You feel more for the bad guys. But then I
usually do, though.
Yeah, but then I knew that they weren't going to really make them the hero, because when they showed Peter Dinklage, and then you're like, oh well, yeah, he's a Russian mob boss, but they're taking advantage of his mom, and I think anybody sympathizes with that. they show.
Well,
what
I don't know. I'm not in the
they,
mob.
yeah, but they show what he does.
But now I know what to do, so it's good.
But they show what he does for like a living, and so when and goes more into like, I don't know, it fell a little bit more in line with it, like the man hating part. But I was like, this guy, one of his henchmen brings over a stack of photographs, and he's like, all the mules came in, and he's like this, and he's flipping through all these girls that are like mules, they're drug mules. And so, well, that cancels his character from being the hero of this movie, like right then and there. They try to establish him as someone to hate, but even that didn't really work. You still kind of rooted for him. But I knew right then and there.
It just really was.
I knew right then and there they weren't going to make him the hero. I was like, that's it. You can't. How are you going to make a guy who runs drug mules and women? They show you pictures, the hero. That's it. It cancels him out. So, I was a little surprised but not surprised that they killed her in the end. But even then, at that point, I don't think I cared much after that. So, yeah.
No, it wasn't. I mean, so we watch something new every week. That's what we watched this week. Was
I wrong in my assessment of it? Was I too harsh on my assessment of it? I
think it was okay.
Like
everything, we don't know what the original script was. Is it the direction? Because really, ultimately, someone took the story, directed, and then edited it into what we got.
Yeah,
I agree. I felt like
now what I'm saying is probably not going to be popular, or it's kind of stuff you shouldn't probably be pointing out, I guess, in some way, or criticizing. You know what I mean? But
I criticize that relationship 100% because I want to know more. Where did they meet? Now, let me ask this question. Yeah. So, your girlfriend is you're this ruthless lady. I'm talking Pike.
Yeah.
And your love of your life is almost strangled and gassed.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, and you're not going to be over there crushing people, and you're going to make this girl live and make a deal. It just seemed like you wouldn't make forces with him. Now, what would have been awesome is if.
But there weren't any consequences. She would have died.
What about the girlfriend does the hit, or she? There could have been you know what it was? They took the standard route and they didn't want to take the time to step outside the box. And those other two female characters were better people to be bad than Dinklage, my personal opinion.
Yeah. And I would have preferred them to have killed the girlfriend for Rosamund Pike to have the weight of her actions kind of, feel it a lot more with her living. I was just like, and then I
would have had Diane Wiest woo her.
Yeah.
Woo her into working for her.
Yeah. That would have been good.
That would have been and set up. How about if that was the setup?
Or at the end, she's the one who shoots her and
and gets in the car with Diane Wiest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so listen, like every movie, there's just good elements. They didn't step outside the box. But the truth is there was some scenes I did enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, but I think to me, I always come down to the one question. Would I watch it again? No.
Yeah.
So if I'm not going to watch it again, then it's not something. Now, I won't watch certain again because maybe it's viscerally unsettling or whatever, even if it's great. I wouldn't watch this again because there's too many great stories out there that are complete to watch instead.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think for me, I wouldn't watch it again. And I honestly got through it just to see if I was going to be proven right in my assessment of everything. And I kind of was along the way. I just didn't. I saw where they were going. I saw the whole thing, and it wasn't like it wasn't just maybe I didn't allow myself because I saw where they were going with everything and the kind of the messages they wanted to deliver, and it just took me out of the film. And I was actually looking forward to this film because I saw the trailer of it. I was like, oh, I like Rosamund Pike. I was rooting for
Okay, now what about this ending? And this is where my wife said she would end it.
Yeah.
Her leaning into Dinklage at the hospital. I'm your guardian. Cut the black. And then you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like that. So my wife said you cut it there. It's the flip.
Yeah.
And now she owns all the money, millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on it, but I see where they're. Yeah, it just is. I don't know. It was insulting my intelligence, I think, in a lot of ways. I don't know, because I saw what they were trying to say to me, and instead of allowing me just to enjoy the characters and the story itself, and in having good payoffs and consequences and stuff like that, it was just one statement after another, and I just didn't really. I don't know. It kind of turned me off. The other one I think we both saw that I really enjoyed was Nomad's Land. Yeah.
No, I did not see it yet.
Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Oh
no.
Oh,
I read the book. Oh,
okay, that's right.
I texted you. Okay.
It's available on Hulu now. I don't know if you have Hulu.
Okay. How do I do that?
You have Hulu?
Do I got to do that on the internet?
What?
Well, like I have this thing that I can do Netflix and Amazon and all that, but it doesn't have Hulu listed.
Then there. you might need to search for it. There's probably a search option in your TV to find the app, and then so you might not have Hulu then.
Well, no, but I saw that if I look it up online, I can get it here and then transfer it.
Then you might be able to do that.
So I'm going to transfer it the other way.
Yeah. I'm sure other services have it.
Because this is going to be an Oscar-nominated movie guaranteed.
Yeah.
Let's not go into detail at all.
I just say I'm gonna throw it out. I think it's gonna do well. I'll say I think it's gonna do well. It's a slow burn. It's a movie that it's slow to get to its point, but it's nice, and it has a lot of really, really good elements to it that keeps you interested all along the way. So, and performances are great. There's a lot of, from what I took, there's a lot of non-actors in this movie. And
well, I think they might have went to some of these places.
I think so.
That's where they filmed. And
I think so too.
They do have a lot of, I do know, I read the book.
Yeah.
The book is more of a very journalistic.
Yeah.
Kind of like reading an article.
Yeah.
Let's say like reading an article in a magazine. Would you feel that when you were watching it, was it heavily dramatic, or did you feel like you were watching a journalistic piece?
It felt like I was watching a journalistic
like a
piece.
Documentary in a way, kind of
yeah,
feel.
Because it felt, because Frances McDormand, she's great in this movie, and her character is really, I think, really well done. And she doesn't say a lot, she doesn't do a lot, but she doesn't need to. It's kind of just she's just a part of the world that they're showing. And it seems like, from what I could tell, I'm like, these people look like natural, non-actors. They're just a part of, they're of this kind of world. And I think Frances McDormand had to have implanted herself in there and lived amongst them, and they filmed it and they pieced it together to make it into a movie. But it had this it was just like this, narrative film, and it also was like a documentary at the same time. It was really well done.
It's
really well done.
Documentary type because it's an actual what's going on.
I think it is. I think it's more of a documentary.
It is.
Yeah.
And the book takes place in, Temecula, St. Elsinore, all through that area. And I don't know if that's reflected, but I enjoyed the book. I guess also having the hiking, camping background, I'm familiar with the roles of the camp and how it works and how people come and live and this and that.
I think you're going to identify with it a lot. The scenes, the scenery, the cinematography.
Not having a job, yes.
but like being in the in these environments, and you're going to see it in the cinematography. It's like I think it's you're taking a peek into this kind of world, and but it's through this movie, but it's this weird kind of mix of a documentary and just like a feature film. It's really crazy. Cool.
Well, it's and you're right. Relating to it is correct. Having climbed and even my wife and I traveling across the country and doing different things. We lived out of, not me and her, but friends. We lived out of a vehicle for a month and drove from Chicago all the way to Mount Rainier, climbing, and all the way back. That car didn't make it back. that car, we didn't go to LA. No, we just stayed. We stayed. Well, we took 80 across.
Yeah.
So, Wyoming and the whole way up. But I have always found and me being a bullshitter and talker,
Yeah.
I love, like, when we went to Yosemite, they have this area where you can park for free.
Mhm.
And it's right outside the gate. And if you walk in, there's no fee. Now you got to be pretty fit to walk in. It's quite a ways. But I went up there that night and was hanging out with these people from all over the world. And I found it just to be incredible.
Yeah.
I felt that community in the book when I read. In the movie, is that well portrayed? The
It
people
is.
know one another because it's a seasonal type of situation, correct?
Yeah. They plan, they have like a saying in the movie, I think, well, I'll see you down the road. And yeah, it's very much like that. They end up kind of as new people, but then a lot of the same old faces and these like different...
These people are, I mean, this book, I think, was put together also to make a comment of abuse of workers a little bit.
Oh yeah.
The long hours, the paying off certain advisory commissions that come in and check and different. And I don't know anything. That's just the feel I got from the book.
Yeah, there's an element to that, but then there's also an element of it's kind of they're choosing to live that kind of life. So it's a little bit of both. It's a little bit of the fact that the system doesn't provide them enough to have a life, that they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also the fact that they kind of adapt to that kind of life, and they seek it. So it's good. I don't want to say too much. It's good. Recommend it.
Well, the buzz has been, before a lot of this other stuff was released to get it in before Oscar consideration, it was the buzz beforehand.
Yeah.
And the Frances McDormand is just she's iconic. Yeah. And it's definitely, even if we were going to have 5 Oscar pictures, this would be one of them from what I've read. And would you say so far of the, when we say Oscar, we're talking about, just saying the Golden Globe and not SAG, we're talking about, this is the best of the pinnacle. Are you saying that it's going to be in there? And does it deserve for you?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And from what the Golden Globe list that we went over, I haven't seen of the best, film or dramatic feature. I haven't seen, I think, most of them. I don't even remember the list anymore, but I think that one's on there, right? For Golden Globes.
But have they made the Oscar nomination? They haven't come out. So,
normally the Golden Globes kind of mirrors the Oscars.
There's a big article about corruption in the trades. I don't know if you saw that they came out against the Golden Globes, and people were pointing fingers about payoffs and just different things or whatever.
So the normal business of what everybody knew was going on anyway. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
drink more. But
it's funny because they talk about that in Tropic Thunder, and he's like, "You did not get Oscar." And when he's captured in the village. Yeah. At the end, he's like, no, it's political, and there's a lot of money involved, and it's payout. But yeah,
no, I get it. I think it is on my list. I will see it. I think the truth is, this weekend is my anniversary.
Oh,
so I probably won't watch much. 33 years.
Congrats.
I know, it's just crazy. Because my dog, we have the dog. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? You got to take them out. It's just the
crazy. Are you gonna plan anything?
No. Okay, so here's the deal. We're gonna put it all together with my birthday.
Okay.
And we're going to probably, when it warms up, it gets nice. I think we're gonna go rent, go down the Venice Suites.
Yeah.
And then entertain every evening some of our friends to come down. So you will have to, with your wife, come down.
Yeah, of course.
The top of that place, it is, when you're on that roof, I mean, I love the mountains, but there's something very killer having a drink with friends. They have the big barbecue cook. It's just pretty killer. One of the nicest places I've been. So we'll do that together.
Sounds good.
So anyway, listen, man. And I do want to see the Tom Hanks movie.
The Western one, right?
Yeah, it's gotten under the, but man, they said it's really good. And I think, I was talking with someone at work, and they said how much they love Tom Hanks, and you go back to some of, man, that guy.
Great. I love Tom Hanks.
He is great, and he's a great guy, even better yet.
I have to.
All right, man.
The one I have to see is that one you saw a week or so back with was it Emily? I want to say Mortimer. That's the other actress, another British actress. What's her name? She's on The Dig, and she's in Drive. You know who I'm talking about?
She's in A Promising Young Woman.
There you go. There you go. I got to see that movie. Yeah, that's one I've been seeing a lot more of, and I have to get around to seeing.
I liked it better, but I got to tell you, okay, watch the movie, but from the first scene,
yeah,
I nailed it. I said, "Fake. She's faking." I picked it up instantly because no one could be that wasted in a bar without someone coming over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but Carey Mulligan is the bomb for me.
There you go.
And truth is, I know I keep talking about it, but Drive is my favorite. I know we always jump around, but if you haven't seen this movie Drive with her and Ryan Gosling,
it's on Amazon free.
It's stinking. Yeah. The music.
Yeah.
Even having the famous comedian Albert Brooks playing the mob guy that you never see. And he's funny and vicious.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And when he kills Brian, I mean, it's just incredible.
It's a great movie. It's one of my favorites. I love watching it all the time.
Yeah.
Amazon has Drive, Tropic Thunder. They for free right now if you have Prime or whatever. They have it. You just
you know what? I have been spending more time on Prime lately than on Netflix, to be honest, because I feel like they have better stuff right now.
Yeah,
Netflix is promoting more of their own stuff.
Yeah, a lot more original content right now. Yeah,
and what I do is I'm
just hit or miss. Yeah.
Okay, I jump on. So I just did Showtime. I watch like a maniac. I catch everything and then I dump it. And I come back another time. So now I'll go over to Hulu. It's great. I even saw $5.99 for the first month, so I can watch that movie for free. Yeah. So I'm on board with that. And so now, when the Oscars do come out, we will spend some time on those nominations, and we will see. I always see every Oscar-nominated movie.
Should we wear our suit and tie for the Oscar special?
Yeah. I haven't worn a suit in a long time. I wore a suit every day for 7 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I haven't worn a suit. It's funny because I just, when I took this job, I went out and bought 2 new suits. I like these Italian suits from Macy's, all the shirts, everything. And the truth is, I think by the time this hotel gets back on, I'll never wear them again.
I bought 2 or 3 suits, and then the pandemic hit, and I haven't worn any of them.
No, I did too. I mean, between really in February, I bought them.
Yeah,
because I switched over, and I always buy 2 or 3 more suits a year anyway, because I like them to look sharp, whatever.
Yeah,
I do miss the dry cleaning.
Yeah,
no,
that was great. That was great. Yeah,
but there's a place around the house here that's incredibly good at a cheap price. Yeah. So
all right, whatever. Sounds good. All right, man.
All right, man.
Good talking to you.
Always.
We'll catch up next week. Thank you all for listening. Subscribe, like, share, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right.